Is there someone you know who is hooked on vintage aircraft? Follow the Commemorative Air Force and its fleet of World War II planes, including the mighty B-17 Flying Fortress Texas Raiders, which is based in Conroe, Texas. Texas Raiders tours locally and all around the United States, offering the public a chance to put their hands on aviation history. What could be a more perfect gift than a flight on a historic B-17? Taking to the sky on the iconic bomber is an experience that will never be forgotten. For the touring schedule, reservations, or more information, go to b17texasraiders.org or call 855-FLY-A-B-17.
All right, back with Mornings with Lone Star. The last couple songs, this is from Tom O'Connor, and we're going to have him on the show here in just a second via Zoom, because I know he's a busy guy, and he's, I think he's in Nashville right now, but he's going to be here in Conroe. And speaking of which, it's Happy Cinco de Mayo, folks. It's going to be a fun day today. And we're going to try to get him in right this second. So let's see if this is going to work. I'm really excited about this. Let's see if we can get Tom O'Connor on the air with us right here. We got Tom. I'm looking at Tom right now. Tom, you're live on the air. What are you doing? Looking down at your phone? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, sorry. I was just typing a message to my manager quick. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. This is a new thing for us. If you don't know, we're on YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff, Mornings with Lone Star. And we never done a live Zoom call, because every time we do Zoom calls, there's always something going on in the background. No, someone's walking their dog. It's just kind of like, oh, this doesn't really work. But I'm really glad we got you on with us right now, because you're going to be in Conroe. I want to say, because let me pull it up real quick. Let me see if I can find it. It's going to be a second. Just give me a second.
Sure, man.
Because the file I got, it's a file for ants. I cannot read it. I got to get really close. It's at 5 p.m. I can read that. It's on May 7th. Am I reading that correctly?
That is correct.
That's on May 7th, and it's like a house party.
Yeah, we're doing kind of a private thing in like a community center at a neighborhood development or whatever. Yeah.
I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, I cannot read it, and I could not print it out. And it's May 7th. We're going to post where it is. So just mark the calendar May 7th. That's easier enough. And it's at 5 p.m. and it's free. That's the most important part. It's free.
Yeah, and it is open to the public. I was saying it was private, but it's not. I just had, some friends set this up, and
yeah, actually, your friends Peter and I forget the young lady's name, Anita. They were on the show yesterday for the Cindy Cochran show, talking about they just moved here and they're big fans of yours. And it sounded like basically like this is like the ultimate fan move, where they call you, be like, "Hey, do you want to play at this place and come over here and do this? That'd be great." And you're like, "Yeah, sure." That's really what it sounded like. That's really what I was like. Oh, so if I'm a fan of a musician, I can just call him and be like, "Hey, come play at this community center." That'd be great.
Yeah, it happened to be that I was out here for I'm playing tonight in Round Rock, Texas with Lee Bryce, and then tomorrow in Port A for Palm Fest, and so we were already out in Texas. And
Port A.
Just worked out perfect.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I was looking at your tour for the next couple days. Are you playing with Uncle Lucius at Port Arthur?
Yeah.
They got
Port
back. Did they get Port Aransas? Okay, big difference. I was like, Port Arthur. Okay. I thought they broke up.
I think they did for a little while, and now they're kind of back at it.
Oh, wonderful! So, well, they're really good,
awesome.
So that means you're really good. So that's how that musical world works. We played a couple of your songs from your album Night Owl, right? That's and that's available right now on all the cool stuff.
Yep.
And one thing that when I was listening to the interview yesterday with Peter and Anita, it's interesting that this is something that musicians are. I guess I want to say I never really heard this concept where you do when I put quotes house parties. Basically, you'll perform for a certain venue, but you kind of want like a lot of people because you work off tips or you work off donations and things like that, like sponsors.
It's kind of a new thing that we launched. It's kind of like a fundraising type thing, so that we have super fans in these different pockets, and if we're not at the point where we can go, sell a bunch of tickets at a venue, we'll go into that market and we'll go play at their yard or their barn or whatever it is. We'll play any kind of stage a concert anywhere. And then they kind of like share the music with their friends, and they bring their friends over, and hopefully, we can go back and, sell a bunch of tickets in that market because their friends will tell their friends. And
Yeah. Well,
um,
because that's
it's
what.
kind of a new thing that we're trying out. And in addition to, like, there'll be like a guarantee with the or a smaller guarantee with doing the show itself, just to make sure that we don't lose money. And then just kind of, yeah, we will try to get donations or tips or whatever else, and then sell a bunch of merch and all that kind of stuff. And it works out better for us than coming to a market where we haven't been and only selling maybe like 10 tickets or something like that.
Well, it's interesting that you're evolving this concept because I know artists are moving on or on the go all the time, and I have a couple of friends who are musicians, and I always laugh where it's like, oh, these are my last 10 stops, and I'm like, that place is tiny, that place is really big, that's a medium sized place, that place is tiny, 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 tiny. I was like, how do you all fit in there? And he's like, oh no, it's just solo. And I was like, so to make ends meet, you have to do all these things yourself. And it makes sense what you're doing because this gives you an extra stop because you're already in the area, and this is a way
Yeah.
to inject yourself in a market that you haven't been in. And it's like, hey, this is just going to be a fun time. There's no expectation. It's just like, come, it's free May 7th at this address we will provide. I can't read it. It's like I need to talk to Phil about sending me
Yeah,
little.
it's sort of like to kind of stunt like grassroots and organic growth. The model used to be, before we had the internet and social media and all that stuff, that you go play a market for 5 people, and then the next time you come back it's 10, and the next time you come back, so on and so forth. But this makes it a little bit more viable, because that model seems to kind of have died with TikToks and all the, I don't know, all
Well,
the
I mean,
modern
are
tools
people
that
even leaving their
people use
houses?
now.
People aren't even
Hmm?
leaving their houses.
Right, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
waiting for the VR concert tour. Because I think, what was it, like 2 years ago, I remember reading Paris Hilton was doing that in Dubai, where like you could get your VR goggles on and go to one of her concerts. And I was like, that would be so bizarre to do that. But I
We're
think,
probably not far away from that with all the technology and
yeah,
the AI and everything
you
else.
can't throw beer balls at you though.
No, you can't.
Do people even do that anymore?
I mean, I don't know. I think I
What?
saw a video recently of that Bailey Zimmerman guy getting a beer thrown at him, but I don't think so.
Now I always wondered that
I'm
because,
a bigger guy, so I don't know if somebody threw a beer bottle at me. I would be concerned for them.
well, man, ever since I saw Roadhouse, I'm always like keep an eye out for chicken wire because that was like I was like when I remember first time watching that with my brothers, I was like, why is there chicken wire in front of the band? And then all of a sudden
Oh yeah,
the next scene is like the brawl. It's all this
yeah.
beers flying at the wire and breaking. They're still playing. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Does that really happen at places? And
It probably did at one point.
I mean, that's pretty wild. And I was like, I always want to keep an eye. I want to go to a place that still has the chicken wire up. And I'm like, all right, this is where we might get stabbed. This is awesome. But but
Great movie, by the way.
I
Classic.
I want to let the listeners know on YouTube and Facebook. I'm going to put it on the description where you can find your music, your website,
Mhm.
your all that kind of good stuff. Because like you said, you're going to be at Round Rock and Port Aransas. Today is Round Rock. Tomorrow is Port Aransas, and May 7th that's a Sunday. That's this Sunday, I believe. Am I right about that?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. Yeah. Yes, that's going to be in Conroe, and we're going to put it the address because it's like a house party, which is why.
Yeah, but yeah.
So it's BYOB. Like, what are the rules here?
I think that's the way they set it up. I mean, I kind of didn't get into the details of stuff. I mean,
So you're just
I
you're
know
just
the way that we,
performing. You're just performing. Who
yeah, I
cares?
mean, we set it up so they can, the host can kind of do whatever they want.
Okay. So
And
because
I've seen it where they, they'll bring in like somebody to cater it, and they have all the booze and all this other stuff. And I've seen it other where it's like basically BYO everything. People show up with a chair and their coolers, and
have a good time. Yeah.
yeah, they're always a lot of fun. To be honest, it's really a unique experience. It's different than like going into a small venue and you know I don't know, where you don't get to interact with everybody quite as much, I don't think, as you do if you go to somebody's home or do one of these private kind of things, and you get to talk to everybody, and they're intimate, and it's a
So
really cool thing.
so if we have a listener that's like, oh hey, I got this really cool barn, and
Yeah.
it's like, and I have a lot of friends, and I want you to come play. How do they get in touch with you?
They can shoot me a DM on Instagram or Facebook. or they can shoot me an email. It's tocmgmt@gmail.com.
Here, I'll put that in the description too.
And then my manager will reach out to them and kind of coordinate all the details and all this stuff. And
Yeah,
we actually put together a actual guide, like it's kind of like a PowerPoint.
Good, because it's like I could just selfishly say, "Hey, Tom, you want to come over to my house and play music? That'd be tight. I live in an apartment on the 3rd floor. Cool. See you here." And I don't think that would work too well for the apartment complex. But
there's some kind of basic.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying. I could just see some guy doing that. It'd be pretty funny. But there's plenty of space out here in Conroe and Montgomery County because there's a lot of people who like basically built their houses to entertain people. So it makes sense to contact someone like you to be like, hey, come play, and I'll bring out 100 of my friends. So let's.
And last time I was in Conroe, I played at the Table or Frank Jackson's place, and
the place is way too small for you. I played way too small. I like it.
It's a good size venue.
You're successful at the Table is if Sonic calls and it's like, hey, y'all need to shut up. And that's when you know you're doing good. That's when you know you're doing good.
Or you're too loud.
That's when you know you're doing good. And, we put all the stuff in the description where you can find you. One thing I got to ask, if you don't know this, don't answer it. So this on Sunday, the free concert for people, it's kind of like a neighborhood hangout. Is there, do you know if there's like a max capacity to it, or is it more of just like, hey, let's just not call the fire department, let's just be safe?
Yeah, I don't think there is a max capacity, and honestly, if we had the fire department called or we had too many people, that would probably be a good problem to have.
I can already see it. The fire department shows up. It's like, hey, we got a call of like a lot of people hanging out. Who's this guy? Who's playing right now? Well, that's Tom O'Connor. Oh, cool. What is this? What's going on? And they're just hanging out. Turns out, I feel like so many wanderers are going to come by, and like, what is happening right now?
Well, and that's kind of the cool thing is we were initially going to do it actually at the house itself, and it grew to be a little larger than that, and they decided to move it to the community center. So, again, good problems to have.
Well, now see, that makes me think anyone can really organize something like this with you, because the community. I did one
last weekend in Camp Wood, Texas, in a barn, like a rodeo arena barn.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
That's what I mean. Now, if people know more about this is kind of pioneering stuff. Did you make this up yourself, or does someone else like more famous that you're copying? Did you?
No, well, I don't know. Maybe. I have my manager right now has done it with a couple of other of his artists that he's worked with in the past, and he kind of developed this model, and it really seemed to work to I guess stunt growth in different markets, and not stunt growth, I guess a start growth, right?
Well, yeah, like I said, you're injecting yourself into an area that's like, hey, check this out. This is what I do, and it's free.
You make out a whole lot better financially if you do this than like go play a venue where nobody's ever heard of you or the venue never heard of you.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all about, it's interesting because it's all about the mentality of the audience, because a lot of places, like especially here in Conroe, it's either like a brand new place that's trying to make a bang, or it's this place has been here for 50 years and they already have their regulars, and now you're like disrupting them because you're playing your music there. And that's one thing I love about Conroe. It's growing. There's so many different places around here that have a different feel to it, especially like the Table. The Table is a great place to play music because they actually kind of designed a lot of it around the stage, which I really I respect that for Frank, because it's like, that's why you want to create that atmosphere for people. They know, oh, when I'm eating, I'm probably going to be listening to music, because some places don't tell you. And it's just kind of like, what the hell's going on right now? And this guy all of a sudden with the banjo just goes crazy. So that's really cool. And
Frank's great. He's been in the business forever. I mean, they distribute my music with Smith and everything else. And I mean, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, oh, for sure. We just need to we need to figure out how to close down that Sonic, because that's the only reason they have to close about like 10:30 there. That Sonic complains.
Challenge.
I just can't imagine working at Sonic and all of a sudden it's just boom. You're like, what is going on? And it's not Church's Chicken. It's the Table. But yeah, that's really. I mean, that's a really cool idea, that what you're doing. I think it's going to be something, especially in this area where Conroe and Montgomery County are so big and there's so many different venues. It's like, this is a great way to showcase your stuff. and there's not a lot of rules where you have to put your
Right.
cell phone away. You're not like you're kind of encouraged just to hang out. It's almost like a neighborhood barbecue. That's the
Yeah.
feeling I'm getting, Tom. Is that the feeling you were trying to put out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, and you're bringing the whole band?
No, it's just me and a guitar all weekend.
Yeah, actually, I saw we played a video of you. I forgot. I don't know where concert it was or where you were, but we played it yesterday on Cindy's show, and it was really good. And I was like, this is a cell phone footage. I wonder how good he really is. So, and I'm excited about that, man, because your album's pretty cool. I've been listening to it, and it's like you're a mixture of rock and roll, country. I mean, it sounds like you're going to be a good live band for sure. So
Yes, definitely. The live show is a fun rock show.
yeah, that's what I'm
The
about.
acoustic's a little bit different, but I've done that from anywhere from 5,000 to 2 people. So I mean, that setup works for any of that too.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about myself though, because I woke up this morning and I turned on my Spotify to play some music, and the first thing it says, "Hello, Dick, you want some crying country music?" And I was like, "What? What does that even mean? Am I sad? Does it?
It's that old country.
Am I supposed to be sad right now?" And then I was like, "No, I want to listen to Tom O'Connor." That's why I literally set this up to play Tom O'Connor in the morning. And then yeah, I was like, "What's going on? Is Tom sad? Am I sad?" And then basically it's just an example of the AI trying to like take over. And I hope on Sunday you don't play sad country music. That's what I'm hoping.
No, it'll be
It wasn't a sign where like Tom's just going to be sad on Sunday.
maybe one or two just to throw it in there, but
That's fine, man. Well, I'm excited about it. So Tom O'Connor's going to be performing live for free on May 7th. It's a house party. We're going to get the address. I'm going to post it in the description below. I can't read it. I don't know what's going on with my Facebook, with my messaging. Like when I clicked on it, it's about as big as like this. It's like that big. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Let me see if I can look the address up. Maybe I can tell.
Yeah, let's take a second. Let's look it up. But yeah, I was like, this is tiny. I can't even read this. And I know it's on May 7th at 5 p.m. at a community center. I know that.
I want to say Greystone Drive, but I don't know the number. Let's see where we at.
Let's see. And I know your website is tomoconnormusic.com.
Yep, all those no ease.
I like that. All O's, no E's.
Yeah, I had another buddy his first name was Connor, and he said that, and I'm like, man, that's brilliant. I'm like, I don't know how I made it through this many years in life and not knowing that.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's get to while you're looking that up, and you can. Yeah, I'm gonna throw
Okay,
soft.
so the house is 2701 Greystone Drive.
Okay.
But I don't know the address of the community center.
We'll find that out. We'll post it. If people are really, follow you on Facebook, and I'm going to post it to our Facebook.
Yeah, cool.
All right, some softball questions for you. How long have you been playing music?
22 years.
Okay, that's a long time. Okay, has it always been the style of music you're playing today?
No.
Really? Like
actually started off with like Dave Matthews-y stuff and like
is that because you were learning to play the guitar?
Kind of. I mean, I had a unique experience. I was never really into music until I went and saw a Dave Matthews show years ago, and then I like went out and bought a guitar the next day, and I was like,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I want to do the rest of my life. And I like for the first few years did nothing but like Dave Matthews and try to learn to play guitar on YouTube and all that.
Yeah.
And then it evolved into me like kind of writing my own songs and kind of more into this kind of country rock thing, like a mesh between like 90s rock and like, I don't know, kind of pop country.
That's an interesting perspective because, Dave Matthews is clearly a good guitarist and good songwriter. And I know a lot of people who say they like Dave Matthews are usually the people who are like, oh, that's why I learned my first guitar song is a Dave Matthews song because he plays the guitar. But
yeah.
It sounded like you weren't really into, I would say, music in general.
Correct. Yeah.
So when you're doing the rock country, rock country, you're not really influenced by the bands back 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
I would say that I am because I wasn't really into the music stuff for a long time. And
that's what I'm saying. Like it's brand new.
What I had around me was kind of like my parents like classic rock type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I grew up listening to that in the car, and like that's what I knew, and knew all those songs, like Bob Seger's and Skinner and the Allman Brothers and all that stuff. So it's kind of this Southern country rock kind of thing that, subconsciously probably seeped into my identity, I guess, as a musician songwriter. And then it was kind of like the Dave Matthews stuff, and then a lot of '90s grunge rock that I got into when I started really getting into music. And then when I was in college, it kind of turned into like kind of some of that '90s country or the early 2000s country, like the early Kenny Chesneys and the early Tim McGraws, and I think and then I got really into a lot of like red dirt Texas country stuff, which was kind of a meld of all of that to begin with, like William Clark Green type stuff and the Randy Rogers type stuff and Wade and now I really love like the Whiskey Myers and Turnpike Troubadours and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's so many different types of country out there. It's kind of amazing that people find any new artist because there's so many artists.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm kind of excited about you, Tom, because when someone reached out and said like I literally got your information from a friend who goes, hey, this guy's really supposed to be really good. You should have him on. And I was like, okay, cool. And then 2 hours later, I got a message through Facebook from Peter, and they were not connected. Those two people were not connected. And I was like, so that's two people trying to reach out to get you on the air. And that's awesome. That's, to me, that's really cool. So that's TomO'ConnorMusic.com. You have what your newest album is called, Night Owl? That's the newest album?
Yeah, that came out in 2021. I actually have a single that comes out next Friday.
Okay.
Called Nothing. And then we're going to put out pretty much a song every couple months for the next little while as part of the next project.
Yeah, I always wondered why artists today, because singles is the new thing, or like relatively the new thing. It's been around for a long time, but I meant more of getting new music out there. They don't just release an album. It's like I'm going to release singles. So why don't people do something where it's like, hey, we're going to release 12 singles, and at the end of the 12th, we'll make an album with those 12. And it's just like,
it's the way that music is consumed now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, why don't...
It's like, I mean, as an artist, I want to put out an album. I mean, like that's what I want to do. And it's funny because I don't know if it's shifting now. Some of the top artists are, just throwing out quantity. Like, I mean, you look at what Zach Bryan is doing, and Morgan Wallen is a 36-song record, and Luke Combs just put out 20-something songs. But for the most of the other artists that are not on like the top of the stratosphere, it's the music is consumed one at a time. Like if you're pitching to streaming platforms as opposed to releasing physical product, like you only get consideration for, playlisting and marketing for like one song at a time. So if you put out all 12 songs at once, you're essentially not getting any consideration on 11 of the 12
that's what
songs.
I'm saying. It's like the strategy would be like you have your 12 songs ready to go, but you're just releasing them once every month, like one song every month. And then when you release the 12th song or 13th song, you're like, hey, new album, check it out. And people are like, wait, this is all the single. Yeah, that's what we do here. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when we did the Night Owl record, we put out, I think maybe 6 or 8 of them, I think, as singles before we dropped.
Yeah, that's what I would do. That's hard work. That's hard work. Got to make it stretch.
But early on, to help sell physical product, which people don't buy a lot of CDs and stuff anymore, but we had all 14 of those songs on a disc, like when the first single came out. It's like, all right, so when you come to the show, if you want the whole record, you can buy it, but the rest of them are not coming out for a while as they,
Which, I mean, there's all sorts of strategies with that stuff, and that's when managers get in your head. You're like, oh, we're only going to do 3 of these 12 songs. Like, why don't I just do all of them? Like, just try it out.
Right.
And I worked hard for all 12 of these songs. Like, I want people to hear all 12 of them. So, but then again, I'm not a manager. I'm not a person that does that stuff. So I'll probably be really bad at it. But I think that's really cool. So Night Owl's available. You can probably stream it on Spotify and all that stuff. Just look up Tom O'Connor, no E's, all O's. And I look forward to seeing you on Sunday at this house party, which is crazy. And I want to remind folks, if you have a venue in mind, you can contact Tom and he'll come play at your barn. But you got to bring the people because he works via tips and donations. So you got to bring the people who have the deep pockets and to have the connections, because we want to see Tom play at all the other venues around Montgomery County, because there are so many different venues here, and it's kind of neat. Like, I think as an artist, I'd be excited about Montgomery County, just because of the opportunities of like where I can bring my whole band here, I can play solo
Definitely.
here, and that's really cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, I could see you rocking it at Sawyer Park pretty hard. That's a newer place, and that place has two stages, and it's kind of crazy. I don't know if
Awesome.
you look it up. You should look it up. It looks a little weird.
I will.
It looks a little weird. But yeah, Tom, thank you so much for being with us today. And guys, it's been Mornings with Lone Star. Tom O'Connor playing on the 7th. That's this Sunday. We're gonna put the address and everything, because they shifted it to the community center, because all these people are coming. So that's exciting. That's TomO'ConnorMusic.com. Tom, thank you so much for being here, man. And take care of yourself tonight and tomorrow. Happy Cinco de Mayo and all that cool stuff. All right, man?
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to meeting you on Sunday.
Yeah, dude. All right, guys. We got more music coming your way. It is 10:24. If you got a song request or anything like that, let us know. We're here till 11 o'clock here on Lone Star Community Radio's Mornings with Lone Star. Just to give you a heads up, I do have some open slots for guests next week. We are filling them up, but if you're interested, morningswithlonestar@gmail.com. I know we have Mondays pretty much booked for the morning, but yeah, if you got anything you want to talk about, I love talking to people, and yeah. So we're listening to Mornings with Lone Star. We will be back. Here's some music for you here on Lone Star Community Radio.